Good morning. It's December 4th, which is Wednesday, and it's the morning before the open. It's 8:07 Eastern Time, and I wanted to make a quick video or podcast, depending on how you're watching this. If you're on YouTube, remember my show's on all podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Now, I had a discussion with a buddy of mine who is a trader as well, and he's working through, his own struggles and so forth. And he's a really good trader, but it's kind of like myself. We have our things we got to work on to be very profitable. And one of those subjects was the idea of, taking profits and controlling your risk. And this is something that a lot of people talk about, and I'm going to talk about it right now because it's really on top of mind. And I'm noticing it because thanks to Brian Lee Trades, he shared with me an equity curve simulator that I checked out, and wow, it is so eye-opening because, we know that the idea of trading is, risk-reward. If you have 3-to-1 risk-reward, you should be profitable. If you have a 50% win rate, you should really be profitable. You could even have a 40% win rate, maybe a 35% win rate, and have a 3-to-1 still be profitable. So we get that, and we understand. If you read books like Trading in the Zone, which is a book I love by Mark Douglas, great author. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Rest in peace, my friend. I will say, though, he paints the picture of traders should be like a casino, which everyone hears this, and I've heard it for millions of times, trust me. But it's different when you see it. And what I mean by that is, he explains that, your risk reward might be 3-to-1, your win rate might be 50%, but it doesn't mean that every trade you do or every other trade is going to be a winner. It doesn't mean that, you win one, you lose one, you win one, you lose one. It doesn't mean you win 5 in a row and then lose 5 in a row. It's random. And I understand that, but man, like when you look at one of these simulators, it really sheds some light because there's been time. Let me just explain. On the simulator, you could type in, what your win percentage is, what your risk reward is, and a time period. It shoots out like 20 days, 20 trades, 50 trades, 100 trades, 150 trades, so forth. Well, anyway, you can extend that time period, and it randomizes your results, and you get to see those results, which is awesome. It's amazing. So let me explain further. I typed in a 40% win rate, and my win rate right now since I've started trading is like right around over 50. And so that alone is interesting. And some of my best months were 70%, and I'm going to get to that in a minute because it sounds great, but it's really not, and I'm going to explain why. Because when I look at the 40% win rate on that simulator, as long as you stick to that 3-to-1 and only took your loss when your risk was hit and only took your wins when it was 3, you would be profitable. And the growth isn't ridiculous. Like, you're not going to grow quickly. And that's the other thing it showed me. Like, let's say you put, the simulator showed 25 grand, right? It might take 200 trades to get that to 28 grand or 30 grand. And that idea didn't really cross my mind because we see all these traders on Twitter and they're posting, $1,000, $2,000 profit. And that happens. And it does happen in the simulator too, but how it happens is important. The simulator showed like maybe one day you win one, the next day you lose one, then 3 days you lose in a row, then you win one, then you lose 5 in a row, then you win 2 in a row, and then you win one again, so 3 in a row, and then you lose one, win 3, and then it's so random. But over time you start to see that there was times where you may lose 6 trades in a row and then you win 2, 3 in a row. And if as long as you do 3-to-1, think of that. If you do 6 trades, you lose them in a row, that's 6R, right? If you lose 1R each, and then if you win 2, that wipes out 6 trades, because if you're taking your 3R gain. And I understand that, and I'm sure you do too, but it's different when you see it. I'm telling you, you got to try this out. You got to test it out yourself. Just Google simulators. There's so many out there, and you can just pick one. And I think it's probably going to be the same one I pick. I think you just register for free and you can simulate. But the thing is, It's so eye-opening because when you're in the moment and you're trading, you're counting each trade. I promise you, if you're not profitable or consistently profitable, or if you're not someone who's living off your trading, how about that? Because you could be consistently profitable, not living off your trading. It could be for many reasons. But I promise you, you're probably counting down every trade. Like, okay, that was a winner. That's a loss. Okay, that's a loss. Okay, that's a winner. Okay, cool. So now, that's a loss. Oh, that's a loss. That's a loss. Wait, what's going on? And it's only 3 trades, right? And this simulator had days where maybe it was 10 trades. No joke, where you lost 10 in a row and then you might win 3. And it might not be in a row. It might be win 1, lose 1, lose 2, win 3. Like, it's so random. But that randomness really helps you see that in the long term, you will be profitable. And that is what it's showing me. Like, I got to stick to my guns and I got to stick to my profit. And so that takes me down to this other road of profit, right? You got to take your 3 to 1. If you do 2 to 1, then you mess up the whole simulator. If you do 1 to 1, then you're going to mess up even more. And here's the thing, like, to get to that 70% win rate, I was thinking about that, and I had months like that, but I wasn't making good, like, return. And it's because this crossed my mind. I haven't done much research, but it's easy to assume that, isn't it easier to have a high win rate when you just try to take 1.5 R return? I think it might be. And if it is, then win rate doesn't really matter, because, at least for me, because there's going to be those times where you take a big hit. And I think it's inevitable that will happen again. But I also think that over time we get better at minimizing those big hits. So a big hit now might be 6R, where in the future, when you get very disciplined and stick to your rules, it might be 2R, right? Or 3R, which is great. So, but when you're new, and if you're, working through things, and you're only doing 1R, 1.5R, and you keep on seeing it go to your target 3R or 2.5R, whatever your target is, that's frustrating. And then you take a loss that's 1R, and you're like, God, I'm just treading water here. I'm barely moving. And you are barely moving. But your win rate's high, right? Because, you might win 70% of the time. So you might be ahead, but that one day you slip up and your stop loss isn't hit, or it moves too quickly down against you, and you lose 5R, 6R, which isn't unheard of, trust me. And if you haven't done that yet, I don't want to say you will. I don't wish that on anyone, but I think it's inevitable. You will experience that. And so when you do, and you lose 6, it could be, that's 6 trades, right? Wins. That could really hurt you and hurt your confidence. It hurt me a lot. And then you might start doing other things like pushing to win more. And then when you push to win more, I'm going to lose even more, right? Because I'm not focused on the right things. I'm focused on the win-loss ratio. I'm focused on the money and how it's taking me forever to get out of this hole and so forth, right? So that hit me pretty hard. And I was like, man, I got to stick to my plan. But I do stick to my plan. I got to stick to my plan long term. That's different. Like, I have my plan that I stick to, but I got to stick to this plan over 3 months and then look back, right? And then say, okay, how did I do? And I think that comes back to what Mark Douglas says. He says you got to really trade enough to lose, 30 times, which you won't, even on like bad setups. But, as long as you can trade something 30 times and then look back, then you can kind of see how those results are. That's something you want to do. Instead, I'm sitting here like, okay, that's a winner, that's a winner, that's a loss, that's a winner. You see, and that doesn't work that way. You got to trust the process, and trust in the micro process and trust in the macro process, which is something I think we talk about, but man, my back, we don't really know. And so that's important, because now I'm seeing that in the simulator. I'm telling you guys, when you see it and you see all the data, it kind of slaps you in the face, or it slapped me in the face. And it also helped me see, like, okay, well, that also means when I take my position, if it's 10 cents away, 15 cent risk, 20 cent risk, I don't like to take more than 20. I barely like 20. I just think I should wait. That's impatience. But if I am, I need to take that full risk on. If I'm gonna press that button, short sell or buy, it's because my signal has been hit. It's because I see there's a reason for me to be in, and I should be right. I don't want to take a trade that I'm not going to be right. Of course, I'm not going to be guaranteed, and I need to understand that, and I need to know that everything's random. But at the same time, there's a reason why I'm pressing that button. And if it's not because of like nervousness or want to make money, and it's more of a signal, and maybe the tape is reading a certain way, maybe the chart is reading a certain way, maybe whatever it may be, if it's 20 cents away from my risk and that signal is strong, I need to take that size and full size. Usually I might take a quarter or half and be like, I'll wait for it to get closer. Well, if I'm going to wait, why, that just doesn't make sense, because what's going to happen is if I feel like the signal's there and it goes down, well then, and it goes to my price target, I'm not going to get the full 3R, right? I might get 1.5R, and that's a waste. And so that's my opinion. That's something I'm working on this week. There's a couple of things I'm working on, which I'll talk more about, but this is already getting too long. So thanks for listening. If you're liking the show, definitely give me a rating and review on the podcast, because it helps me out a ton to meet new people. Comment and send me messages on YouTube. I post these on YouTube as well. I love interacting with all of y'all. I know all of us are on a journey. I hope you the best, and I'm going to continue this. So take care.